here in Canterbury again, in a loft, so the sound should be better this time. I'm here with Sarah Rachel Adams, and it's Saturday 11th of July, and it's about 2:30. So, blog number 3.
Yes.
3 done already, so what would you like to share this time?
We're getting better at this, aren't we?
Hopefully. On video camera now.
I have a list of things. I just, today I'm sort of in meditation all day. I get into states where everywhere I go, I'm just in this calm, you know, and it's perpetual meditation, that's what I call it. And I try to make sure that I'm like that every day, but it's interesting because in this state you access so much and so much symbolism. And I actually forgot to bring up my newspaper about George and the Dragon that I wanted to explain about. But today I want to go ahead and do a question and answer, and I also want to speak a bit about some of the experiences that I had with the Egyptian deities. And I also wanted to, there's a couple of things out of these books that I wanted to read that actually have helped me a lot, that I think that the people viewing this could get something out of it. And then we'll just stream along as to what I feel, because I generally like doing that. Let me think. Maybe we should start with the Egyptian deity.
Yeah, sounds good.
When I was younger, I had an experience. Goodness, time for me is all messed up because I go in and out of reality to alternate universes and go through all of this stuff. So I'm sort of like not good at time. So it's really hard when I go back to remember exactly what time or age it happened. But I do think maybe that I was around 18 or 19. And I remember feeling the tomb to the god Set being opened. And I think back then I'd seen some article about it that had been taken down because I researched it after. And I literally felt that force somehow being resurrected here. It was something very, very interesting. It was like I was transported, and there was this military operation at the pyramids, where the pyramids were, and they had found the coffin of Set, and they did a ritual to bring him back to life, and it was something that I experienced. I remember that it's a bit like when these things happen, I get transported there. And I'm literally there and able to see and sense to what the people doing it are. So I'm almost like I can become omnipresent to watching these sort of things happen. And I got very alarmed when that happened. For some reason, that's when I knew that there was definitely, in this timeline, something huge happening. Because I felt like that force just literally absorbs so much energy and then come out into 3D. So I do believe that there are people whose DNA are tied all the way back to Atlantis and to Egypt, and they have, I can say they have connections to these different quote deities because they were real, they were real. Like you talk about the different Egyptian kings and queens, they were supposed to be the literal reincarnations of certain deities from higher realms, So I do believe that they can come into bodies when they please, and I do believe it's happened in this time. There's a saying that says that all of heaven and all of hell is empty right now because they're all on earth. I can verify that that's true. When I came here, I came through the sun. You might say it could be an alternate reality over there. It's a different place. When I came here, it was very, very interesting because I was able to retain information, but there's still pieces of the puzzle that I don't have. that I discover every day. And from what I understand too, the sun is connected to the DNA of these certain Egyptian kings that were also worshipped as deities, such as the sun, the elements that's connected genetically to them. And I believe that there's some people walking around who don't even know that they have that DNA connected to them, and different things will happen. Like, if you're sad, it might rain. If you're happy, it might be sunshine, because it affects the elements. And I do remember coming through the sun, and there was such a war that was happening, and we essentially, all of the higher male, I guess you could call them angels, they're very evolved beings, had came down to Earth to battle it out. When they got down here, they became in amnesia and forgot who they are, and some have been down here for quite a long time. And now I decided to come down, and there's a council that voted against it, because I was, when I decided to come down, I was quite young, and I remember there was none of the males really left in the higher dimension. They had all come down to battle, and I was like, I'll go down there, and they didn't want me to come down here.
What does young mean then?
Well, you know what? People like to think that it's just a bit different, but actually, in higher realms, it's a bit like, you know the movie Thor, where you see Asgard, you know?
Okay, yeah.
It's exactly like that, where they have, it's very lovely. It's not something boring up there. I think that with religion, they think it's all boring. No, in higher realms, it's very lovely. People speak through emotion, beings speak through emotions and things like that, and it's just very, very lovely. I can't even explain the beauty of it. And they do go on different missions to different parts of the universe, to different dimensions, because they try to keep order, especially the ones in the higher realms. And they have families and everything. It's just that they're more advanced. Does that make sense? Like, they're highly advanced, and they do work off of the heart and the higher chakras, and they have it's a bit like they have the whole temple, everything's illuminated, everything's lit up, so that they live in those higher realms. Here, most people they have a couple of chakras that are working, and most people work off the base chakra, whereas these beings know they've aligned everything so that they can come down into bodies, but they stay in other higher frequencies because of the fact that they're so evolved that they're totally lit up, that they can do pretty much anything. And coming down here into bodies, it's definitely a learning experience for beings like that. And I was told that many of the fighters who came down, the soldiers who came down, they were lost down here. And one of my missions was to come down here and to try to help them remember, wake them up and say, hey, because they got caught in life cycles here over and over again, some for a very, very long time. And then their energy is being used to literally help this computer system to keep going. And they don't even really know who they are. They know they're different, and they know that they pick up stuff. They're definitely different when they're in human bodies, but they don't even know who they are. So I came down with intent of finding them and trying to remind them who they are. And I had to go to a couple of different other planets before I got here. But the interesting thing is, it's all tied into the same thing, whether you go back to Atlantis, whether you go back to Mars, to different planets that were inhabited, different realms. It's generally all the same story in the end. And I see it playing out every day, trying to remind us to wake up, to it, to what's happening, so we can solve and we can find a solution to all of this, because there are solutions. I was definitely told not to come down here at all. The council decided that it would be very bad for me, because they said it was very dangerous, because once you get here you can believe that this illusion is real, that this matrix system, that this computer system is real, and then you start to really believe it, and you start to doubt where you come from and everything, because everything seems so real. But if your eyes are open and if you are awake, you understand that everything means something, and you understand that it isn't real. You're down here to do certain stuff and then return, not to stay down here lifetimes after lifetimes. It's funny because I just watched Dracula this morning, the new Dracula, and as much as people say that movies are fiction, I'm sorry, everything is telling us what's going on in real time, whether it's movies, music, everything literally is telling us what's going on in real time, and I keep an eye on that. In Dracula, it literally says, the story in there, whoever's seen this movie, literally says that he was from higher realms, and that he was an angel that fell. And it's very, very interesting in it. Then it says once he fell, he got caught into lifetime after lifetime, It shows him from ancient days to modern days. I think he's walking in New York, maybe in the end or something. Life cycle. It wasn't the fact that Dracula was staying, alive all these years. It was the fact that he was going in life cycle. And I believe that it has that's somewhat tied to Osiris. And it also shows how they don't want him to light up his heart chakra, and how he made a deal, this being, this high up being made a deal with Saturn or with Satan to be able to conquer enemies. And I do know that the highest beings, they know the highest magic, and they go with flow. And nobody is supposed to use any darker magic unless it's very, very, they're very desperate, or they're in a very bad situation. And it shows exactly that's what happened in that movie. And it's funny because before I came down here, I was told that, quote, the king of heaven, or the king of high realms, had come down here for a battle. And initially there's a huge fight over helping humanity. And I believe that in Dracula, that's what was depicted. And it kind of ties into a movie, Mirror that I saw, where her father too had turned into dragon. And Dracula, he's the red dragon. Yes. And then you've got Narnia, where you see the boy, he's a dragon, remember? And once he does an act of nobility, does an act of dignity, he turns back into himself. And the angels, they came down here, and they have to regain their status, or these higher beings to regain their status. They have to show nobility and dignity, and they also have to wake up, and that's one of the things that I believe is happening right now. I do believe that the people who are streaming these energies, or streaming this DNA, are being highly targeted by witches and by just different stuff, because they want them to stay asleep, because they can use their energy to create reality. As in Dracula, it showed that he could he could affect the elements. He could make the sky go sun or dark. He could affect the elements. He could affect animals and stuff like that. And I believe that they get a lot of attacks from witches and stuff like that. I do believe with Casbolt, when we know about James Casbolt, that he was somewhat, maybe have had DNA that was connected to that. I do believe that he literally fell. He's definitely fallen, but I don't believe that he was necessarily bad. I do believe that he was pressured into he was pressured into it and he made some very bad choices. But it just goes to show that even higher beings are targeted here on Earth. And what's interesting in the end of Dracula is that he couldn't even, the demons that he had summoned to help him from lower realms, they even attacked him. They were trying to attack his son, so didn't even have control over them. And it's funny because the Bible does state that Satan's house is divided against itself, So you have even all the lower ones attacking each other, and then we see in Hollywood everybody's just devious to each other and one-upping each other and trying to get ahead, and it's all about self-service and all about Saturnian worship or Satan worship. The Saturn, and it also is tied to the base chakra, and it's very, very interesting how also that I see so many people tied to that chakra and they're not evolving to higher chakras, and they're not being able to, they're always giving out, even people who somewhat in the weight community, they're always giving out the same information because they are not streaming anything new, because if they were, they would have a crown connection and you would know that they would have access to higher chakras and that they were bringing in new information. They'll always be saying the same stories over and over again. Yes, so there's no new information that's being given. It's because they're not connected, and even though they claim it, they're not connected. And I can tell this, and so many are also connected to Saturn. I was looking at this person the other day who's she's a very known psychic, and she's literally put a picture where she's like standing inside of a black cube, and it's like people think she's enlightened, and they don't realize that she's literally set up to trap people waking up so that they can entrap their energy. All of the people waking up, they're being also highly attacked on many levels, and everything is just quite a bit of a mess, but it's also falling into place that there's so much positivity that's going to come in the future, because the sun is lighting up more and it'll burn all lower entities, and it will definitely burn all of the lower entities in the astral realms that feed off of humanity, and it'll definitely help out with a lot of this stuff. I do believe that Set was summoned at one point because they maybe knew that somebody was born with high DNA that could actually change the world right now. So I believe that this turning point, people are being born, or people are walking around DNA that they're not even awake yet, and things around them happen, and they don't realize how powerful they are and how gifted they are, and how even some of them are the ugly ducklings in their circles or in their families, but they don't understand that they're the ones to help wake up humanity, and that's been dormant for such a long time. I was watching a movie called Idiocracy. I think it's called Idiocracy. It's got come on, I forget the name of the actor. And it is initially about almost like the Egyptian deities, and they wake up in this time, and they're shocked of how people are just obsessed with their base chakra and obsessed with body and everything like that. And they're really like, what's going on? Everybody's dumbing down because of this. They haven't evolved. That's exactly what I see with society a lot, is that everything is based on the lower red chakra, and anybody who has higher information because they have accessed their higher chakras is shunned, and they're the ugly ducklings. But I can say this, that the ugly ducklings are turning into swans this instant. So, the ugly ducklings that are turning into the swans, they're going to be the ones to literally change the world. And I do want those of you out there that are that to hold on and to understand that you're quite special no matter what people tell you. And just try to seek balance in your life, and try to take care of yourself well, and don't despair that you do get so much information, because that means you're syncing with the universal energies, you're syncing with God's source itself, and that is definitely a magical thing. You're very, very gifted. But we also, this instant, the sun, I see the sun is lighting up more and more and more. So we have some help from the sun, and as that happens, that's also opening up people's DNA more, so that they can be more open. And I do want to say the positive thing is that so many people are waking up. People that used to think that I was just a bit weird or strange, they now are speaking to me about this stuff and actually saying, this is amazing. I'm experiencing stuff now, where years ago they wouldn't even think about it. They thought it was insane. So we have this whole change that's going on right now, and I do believe it's all tied into Atlantis and the ancient deities of Egypt, and it's tied into other planets, and it's directly tied into the sun and into alternate universes. I think that in the end, if we just have faith and we just pray a lot and work on ourselves, everything's going to be okay. And so for those of you out there who are scared at everything that's out in the news or coming out in the news, I would say to try to avoid any fear porn, because that's how they leech energy, and they especially try to scare people who are waking up badly. So I would say to avoid that. Always be aware of darkness, but don't stay in it too long. Don't obsess over it. Just try to know about it, yet be aware of it, yet stay on a path of where you're balanced and where you're taking care of yourself, and where you have at least 80-90% positivity. If you can reach 50-60%, that's already amazing. And of course, superfoods and everything else help with that. But so many people in the awake community are being targeted, and quote awake leaders are also working. Some of them are working for the dark side. I would say to run away from anybody who is very base, who says that you need to deprogram from base chakras, the base chakra. I would also say to run away from anybody who you think is trying to use or abuse you, anybody you get a bad vibe from, and also try to learn symbolism. If people post stuff that looks like black cubes or Saturnian, you'll know where the energy is going. And I can say that so many, even religions, give their energy to Saturn, and they've twisted the divine words. Once I was in a church, and I could literally see that the pulpit was designed literally so when people were praying or worshiping, it would directly send the energy up to Saturn. Yes. And Saturn is what throws the illusion here on Earth, by the way, and I think I talked about that last time. So, I think now it's just about balancing out everything and understanding that the very hardest part is over, and we just need to have faith and work on ourselves. And since those of you who are very gifted, it's very important you take care of your body, and it's very important you try to stay in a positive mood, because you are manifesting that around you. I do know that there are those of you out there who have issues with your family and your family not accepting you. I can say that I'm much happier being myself, and I don't care that people accept me or not. But I also do things that I do things to push my life ahead, to make it more positive. And when people see this, when your family sees this, they will change their outlook on you. I think that people who really, really express their true heart and true self, that affects people around us. We just need to make sure that we don't get angry at people who don't agree with us, and just, be yourself. Be yourself, that's the thing. But don't force people. Don't force anything on anybody. The more you work on yourself, the more people around you will change, and will see that I've achieved a lot of stuff that people around me said that I'd never achieve. And now they're more open to me because of that, and they respect me much more. And I didn't really care about what they said about me. I just was like, I'm gonna go do this, and I went and did it. Don't also just try to, I encourage people to start their own businesses, to do their own creativity, to do stuff like that. Don't stay living with your family and telling them off every day of how wrong they are. Go do something. Go do something that's going to impress them. Go do something that's going to make yourself happy, that's going to help you out, It's really useless to sit there and tell people you need to change, and they're like, well, you know what are you doing in life? What are you achieving in life? We are here to achieve stuff. We're not here to sit around and, try to tell people we know better. We need to be an example ourselves and achieve stuff ourselves, so that then we can go ahead and show those people, yes, you know what, the universe is, because I am listening to the universe does help me out. And that's one of the things that I've had this question so many times: how to deal with family, how to deal with friends that are not open to this stuff, and people get discouraged. It's about not forcing. It's about flowing and working on yourself, and then eventually they will see that your life is improved, that you're happy, and then they'll start asking questions about it.
Yeah, I must admit I can relate to that with my own family and everything, the arguments, and I must admit I like to debate it, but I don't bring it across very well, I don't think. And yes, so lead by example without trying to tell them what to do, basically.
Exactly. It's like they would tell me, you're not going to achieve this, and I achieved it, and I achieved doing it. And so it wakes people up, like, well, you must be doing something, right? But if I was sitting around all day saying, yeah, it's wrong what you're doing, what do they see? I'm just like some nagging person. I'm not somebody who's shown them the example. I'm not doing my dreams, I'm just sitting there nagging at them. It's almost what they do in religion. That's exactly the same thing they do in religion. They keep telling you, I want to see results. If I'm going to believe somebody, I want to see results myself. I don't want to hear words.
That's right.
And so if they're going to believe us, and if they're going to change because of us and listen to us, we're going to have to show results. And it's all about following your creativity and everything like that. And when they see that you are going up in life, that you're happy, that you're more vibrant, that you're, that you're achieving stuff, they're going to be like, well, you're doing something right. Yes, that's the way to
totally
make
agree.
people work.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess when people are waking up, they've got a hunger for information, and that's the problem, because
and to wake everybody else around, because they're like, oh my gosh, people are waking up every day now, and it's getting intense. You're starting to see in the news, like the Express, where it's showing UFOs. It's talking about alternative medicine. People who use alternative medicine are smarter, healthier. It's starting to really come out. And so it's because of the ones that worked on actually using it, showing results, and then so it's being accepted more and more by mainstream, and that's how we are going to wake the whole world up, is by doing that, is by showing results. It's one thing to sit on a computer all day and post about the articles. It's okay, but it's another thing to go into your community and to help out the children who need it. I was with my friend, we got like $100 when we were in the United States, and we knew poor families, and we just got food. We went and bought food, and we put it in sacks, and we brought it to them into bags, and we brought it to them, close to people who are in need and stuff. Get involved in your community, start doing stuff to help change, and then people will be like, hey, that's just really amazing. We're more willing to listen to you than if you're sitting on the computer all day, just posting up, and you're not healthy, and you're like, oh, what's here? I'm gonna have some tea.
Yeah.
I'm like in the ultimate meditative state today. I called it perpetual meditation. I woke up like that. I actually programmed myself to be like that today. And
You can do that.
Yes, I can do it. Yes. I feel how calm my energy is today.
Is that, but you're still very grounded as well?
Yes. Yes. It's like I'm in perpetual meditation Sometimes I can use plants to do it, other times I can go ahead and just bring myself into this state. Last night I was just checking on people I loved, and I brought myself into this state, and I could literally access their like mind and see images, of what they're doing during that instant. So I'm able to do that. Eventually took me some years to be able to control that ability. So I was checking up last night on people that I loved that I can't see right now. And then I thought, I'm going to bring myself into this state. And I did. And I just woke up like this morning in it, just where I'm at total peace right now. Just total peace. Anything could happen around me, and I'm at total peace. It's a very nice state to be in, because you start to pick up everything around you deeply and feel everything around you. It is a state that I think that most of us should be in at least a couple days a week. When you start, I had got to a point where I was in it all the time. It can cause some problems for the more darker factions, because you pick up everything and they don't like that you pick that stuff up. It happened to me in France, where I literally had to hide sometimes because I was getting followed by people who were highly possessed by entities, because they realized that I knew, because I could pick it up. But
so you're very much in the now, though. You're not daydreaming. You're not like feeling, because you say you're grounded, so you're very much aware of what's going on around you.
I'm very much aware, but I'm also in a bit of a higher frequency right now. I can tune frequencies, so I'm in a higher frequency right now. So if you look, well, when you interviewed me last time, I was more like, very bubbly, more.
Yeah, you are.
So yes, so this time I've tuned myself down to a different frequency. That way I can explain these things more in depth without, because usually a high energy makes me very down,
Yeah.
Yes, like that. So I think this was better, and that's why I tuned myself last night, to see exactly how I can do this. If it was better doing it in this frequency. So I'm playing around with tuning the different frequencies to see which is the best. Yes. But you can do that. It's very, very easy to do that. At least a quick way of doing it is I use magnesium and lilac tea. You can put maple syrup in there. I don't use maple syrup. I'm not drawn to sweets. I think for my birthday I just ate an organic cake, and then I was just like, yes, I had no sweets for the whole year. But you can go ahead and you can put. I usually use magnesium, and I buy dried.
These are magnesium.
I make my own. I've got.
Oh, you make your own?
Yes, that one's actually a dropper I bought, and I made my own. But I got the magnesium powder or crystals, and then I dilute it with water, and then I put it in the dropper. Then I also use it in my bath. So, and sometimes I do a facial with it too, and it works really, 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 really well. But I usually use the magnesium if I want to, and the lilac tea before I go to bed if I want to program myself like that, or I bring myself into that state. And I'll explain a bit later about how you can bring yourself into that state and how you can bring yourself up or lower.
That'd be
Yes.
good,
Yes.
Be useful.
Yes. But what else did I say I was going to talk about? Because I stream. So when I stream, I continue to go and go and go. I forgot my newspaper downstairs, but in the front it says about how George slayed the dragon, which is so symbolic. So this is also very positive for us, this instant. If anybody knows about symbolism will know that the whole George and the dragon thing is very, very symbolic, and that was on the head newspaper a day ago, and I was like, I looked at newspaper, and I usually don't quite buy newspapers. I'll just look at them and read the symbolism quickly, or I'll go to a magazine now and read symbolism off of it, because everything's happening in real time, so the matrix systems relay in it everywhere, like I said, and I had this dream, and then suddenly, George and the Dragon newspaper. Do you see my carpet here? It's very old. Do you see the dragons in the labyrinth?
Oh yeah.
Do you see the crystals guarding it? Yes. So that would represent the some of the beings that are down here, and they have to reaccess their heart energy to get out of the labyrinth. Yes. So it's a very, very, very symbolic carpet that I have here. It's quite old carpet. But yes, it's a nice reminder of what's going on with all of this. And interestingly enough, the whole George and the Dragon thing was made me smile, because it's the Matrix relaying that we are definitely, the lower beings are definitely being thrown back into the abyss. They're being thrown back into the lower vibrations. Then I read this morning the sun is getting even, like, it's throwing out more flares. That's positive, because that's hitting Earth, and that's affecting all the other dimensions and throwing out all of the beings who don't belong there, belong in certain dimensions, throwing them back into the lower dimensions. So I think it's quite positive. I see something,
okay.
Yes, I see something huge happening this winter.
Yeah, people keep talking about September, October, the last quarter of this year, basically.
What are they saying about that?
If you read some people, it's energy that's going to come in, which is going to give certain people, well, it depends where you are in your time, but certain gifts maybe, or amplify your gifts, let's say.
Everybody's waking up more, so
Yeah,
we who are already awake, we're getting even more and more downloads, and we're being able to see things more. And then normal people are waking up to this too. It's affecting them on a genetic level. I already see a huge change in even magazines, like Elite Magazine, women's magazines are now like talking about healthy eating, organic eating, natural medicine, things just that OL pulling, things that you wouldn't think they wouldn't even post like a year or 2 years ago. It's suddenly, the huge thing, like drinking green drinks, doing detoxes. It's suddenly become a big thing, which I'm stoked about that. But and then we have like the Guardian, the Express. They're posting UFO articles and stuff. So it's definitely a really, really, really good thing, and I'm very happy, because I think by the end of this year, so much more is just going to come out. I'm very protective of children, and I'm so glad that so many of the ones that are doing harm to children, and I posted this years ago, and I would talk about it years ago. It's now coming out, and they're not going to justice, and this is a really, really good thing. So I'm really definitely positive about everything happening in the future.
Okay, that's good. And you see what's going on at the moment, Greece and all that sort of thing. That's a good thing. It's not just paying it down.
I think it's a bit more symbolic than that. Greece is, and then Greece on top of what is Cyprus? Is that what you say here in England?
Yes. Well, yes, Cyprus.
Sheep or Cyprus? How would they pronounce that here? The little island of.
Yeah, Cyprus.
That's where, quote, a lot of the deities came down at. So I think, and I have yet to study this, I think really that this is all tied into that. It's all tied into something with the higher deities, and of course, the Greek deities are tied definitely to the Egyptian deities. All the deities around the world are all the same ones. I need to let everybody know that they're all the same deities. It's just different stories about the same thing, and that was one of the places where, quote, deities came down in Cyprus. So I think that Greece somehow is tied to that for some reason. That's the whole thing. The cover stories that they give you, there's always a lot of back stuff, and it's about decoding the symbolism. Like I said, decoding the Saturnian cube symbolism and everything else like that. There's a lot of, and that's how we can get answers to, is by decoding the symbolism with it. I have yet to look into that, but I highly think it has something to do with the deities and certain deities that were, quote, that descended down into Greece or into the island of Cyprus.
spend some time answering people's questions?
I will just in a couple of minutes. I did want to, I think there was an article. Let me see. And by the way, for anybody, this is a really good book. I've had it, it's a bit messed up, I've had it like for ages now. I've traveled like literally, so.
The Psychic Vampire Codex.
The Psychic Vampire Codex, it tells you, it's a manual of magic and energy work. It is literally a treasure trove. This tells you exactly how to disconnect negative psychic links, how to disconnect from energy vampires, how to heal yourself. It tells you exactly how it tells you exactly how energy vampires work, how they see. By the way, it does make remark of how energy vampires look for people who are awake, because their energy is much nicer to leech off of than people who are asleep, which is a very interesting thing. And almost like, lighting a light, putting a lamp outside, and all the bugs are attracted to it. Exactly. So this is a very, very good book. It will help if anybody has issues with psychic vampires, and I know a lot of people do, whether it's people around you in your family, or people that you love, or friends that are leeching off of you. This is probably a good book to get into, learn how to literally protect yourself, and learn why these souls are like this, and how if you're somebody who's gifted and you can see, like I can, you'll see that the mini energy vampires, they have a black circle right here of energy, a black core circle that sucks a bit like a black hole, that sucks energy. This will explain all about that. So that's one of the books that I recommend for any of you out there. I will explain a lot more about energy vampires and how it's connected to the reptilians and to fallen angels and everything. I think probably in our next vlog we might do that. So I have a lot of information on that. But let me see, it's one of these here. I love books, so I have massive amounts of books. Maybe it's this one that I wanted to read. I'm trying to remember. Trying to remember which one, because last week I actually read this and decided to talk about it on here. Okay, so this is it. I wanted to talk about how we should try to achieve a state of bliss. Again, most people only feel this sometimes briefly, the state of bliss. When in the state of bliss, you can I had questions about manifesting. When in the state of bliss and happiness, you can manifest anything very fast and very soon. People often have moments of bliss, but to achieve a bit of perpetual bliss, and I can say that I experience bliss at least 60% of the time in my life. Little things like having a cup of tea to me is bliss, but I try to do the best to take care of my inner garden and plant good emotions, bliss, happiness, stuff like this, and manifesting and bliss come in the same thing. It says also, bliss will help you to clear out your cells on a cellular level. I think that my greatest awakening when I was younger, and I was awake since a child because I experienced stuff, but my greatest awakening when I was probably 17, 18, when I really started to just meditate and do all of this stuff, I became so blissful. And even though I had a very bad childhood, it seems like everything happened around me wasn't bothering me because I had this state of bliss. This is something I wanted to read from here. As you follow your bliss, you will be led to your greatest self-discovery, where you will be able to light others up. And through following your heart, you will be the most of service to others. The thing is that to achieve bliss, there's a couple of ways. I think that different things like supplements, superfoods definitely help you achieve a good state of bliss. The thing is that I found out it's very small things, very subtle things that can help you achieve a state of bliss. Just for me, even sitting there and watching a small bird like next to me, I can achieve a state of bliss from that, from beauty of nature. Just looking at a tree and seeing how beautiful it is, I take it in, and it's a moment of awe for me, which creates bliss inside of me. So I try to do this a lot to keep filling myself with bliss I can manifest. And I've been able to manifest so much stuff in my life, so it definitely does work. That's one of the questions that I was asked about manifesting.
So being in the now, I suppose, that's what it means.
Being in the now, and also being in now. And like right now, for me, I have bliss sitting here speaking to you and having a cup of tea. That, do you see? Because it's the small things that really, really count. It's the subtle things that really, really count. And I think we forget that. Even in like food and everything, it's all about quantity rather than quality and experience of it. Experience of taste. When I eat stuff that makes me blissful, and stuff that also builds up my cells, but also makes me have a moment of bliss, which is totally, totally amazing for transforming yourself. Let me see, I thought there was one more that I wanted to read. Okay, this is it. I noticed the symmetry between what I experienced on the inside and the events occurring on the outside. We have to learn to embrace our inner. Often we are way too harsh on ourselves and then use our spirituality against us. The thing is that people who are awake often think that they're not good enough, and that's using your spirituality against yourself. I also noticed that what I dream, and the more that I cultivate my inner garden, it will manifest on the outside. In everything, whether it's questions or whether it is definitely achieving money that you do need this instant right now in life, or whether it's just manifesting beautiful small things like my tea set here, which I saw for a year ago in a store, and then it stayed there. Nobody bought it. It was the only tea set, and I manifested it. Now it's given it as a gift. So, do you see? It's you can manifest anything essentially through bliss. I got bliss when I saw the tea set because I thought it's something magical. Do you understand? So small things like that really, really, really I dreamed about the tea set before I even saw it. It didn't manifest on the outside, the manifestation. So I make sure that if I have a dark dream, or if I have a dream that is a bit down, I will immediately go and try to take supplements, talk to myself, see what's wrong, because I don't want that manifesting on the outside, because it's alarming me. Something's wrong inside, something's wrong energetically. You need to take care of it before it manifests in your life. And every time I've ignored that, it's manifested in my life. I ignored it a couple of times and learned some very, very intense lessons because of it. So the thing is by taking care of ourselves, we can achieve beautiful dreams, lucid dreaming, astral traveling in beautiful places, which then manifests here in this reality. And it does work. And I have a friend, and she's just she's quite awake on what's going on with the government and stuff like that, but she's just getting into this. And I told her, I said, just try it for like a week, be positive, try to manifest. And she was manifested all this stuff. She was like, this really works. So yeah, it does work. So that, I think that answers the question about manifestation right there. Yes.
Good.
What else did I say I was going to talk about? Oh, I did want to talk a bit about dry brushing. Okay, so the lymphatic system, how do you say that word again?
Yeah, it's good.
Yes, the lymphatic system of the body is very, very important, and I have got this brush offline, and it's a vibrating brush. Don't laugh, because it works quite well. But this is probably the best thing to do dry brushing, and when you do it, you will be able, you're literally activating all your cells, and when you do it, it will definitely change your life, because it is able to clear out all your lymphatic system, and also because it vibrates, it really clears out the cells, so that works. I would recommend dry brushing too for getting rid of anything like anxiety or panic attacks, because I believe it comes from having lots of anxiety and panic attacks too, comes from our energy not moving right. I tend to keep this by my bed and try to do it every night.
So you do it all over your skin, is it?
Yeah,
Or what?
just simple. I'm not going to light it up. It's going to look too bad on here, but just dry brushing all over your skin. You want to start by your feet. I usually do the underneath of my feet and then work up. And I do use it on my crown chakra too quite a lot. And I do use it on the back of my neck. So you just kind of want to do the whole body. If you can do that like every 2 to 3 days, it will, it activates deep cellular memory. So if you want to access different memories, you know, past life memories and stuff like that, dry brushing seems to work quite well with that, because it's activating the lower cells. I got this for, I think, like £2.50 off of eBay, and it's like a piece of magic to me, because I know that dry brushing is a huge thing right now, but this one vibrates which is better. There's something called the well box, and I was able to use the well box when I was in France, and it initially it's like a $5,000 device, and it's necessarily kind of the same thing. It vibrates and it clicks, and you do it all over your body, and they proved that it was amazing to empty out cellular gunk and stuff. And I found this for like $2.50, and it's better than, it seems to do just as good or even better than that, and I can carry it around and use it
a lot
whenever.
better than the wooden brush. And
It is. I have the wooden brush. This one actually does have a side too, for a side to massage. So you can use it on your scalp just to massage like that. But this seems to work better than the wooden brush. And I do have the wooden brush, and I've used the wooden brush, and it can be a bit harsh on your skin a little bit. This is amazing. So I did want to talk a little bit about that. And then we can go ahead and get to question and answer now. So I'm going to pull that up. I got so many questions on this.
yes, that's all in
I don't even know if I can go ahead and answer all of them. Oh yeah, I needed to talk a little about DNA clearing and portals and déjà vu. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. And then I guess we can do the questions. The thing is that I guess it doesn't matter how long we take really. Okay, so like I said, the dry brush, it will go ahead and activate deep cellular memory, deep cellular stuff. When you decide to do this stuff, of course, you do have to have a strong will, and you have to keep going. Otherwise, it can, when it brings up stuff, we're living in a dimension where stuff is happening multi-dimensional, and things are happening. Since they do happen multi-dimensional, there are some things that are not very cool that happen to us, and our mind blocks it out, and it's in our cellular memory, but our mind blocks it out to try to keep us safe until we're strong enough to process these things. So when you do this sort of stuff, where you do DNA clearing, you are saying, I'm willing to open up to this, and I'm willing to accept this, and it will come, but you have to be strong, and you have to process that energy. And when memories come up, let's say things happened to you as a child, and let's say you're sick from something. And it's because something happened to you as a child that your memory blocked out because of the fact that you would die back then. You know, you would die if you remembered. Whenever you do a lot of healing, your body's then like, okay, well, we need to heal this part. I'll bring this part up to you. You can then face it and then stream it out, and you won't be sick no more. Or you won't have, you won't have anxiety or stuff like that. But it can be very hard when it brings it up. So I needed to warn everybody about this. The best thing to heal your DNA or clean your DNA or even access stuff with your DNA is to sit there, literally close your eyes, imagine your DNA spinning in front of you or spinning above the crown chakra. You can then go ahead and relax. Keep spinning it. Sometimes when you do, you're able to see it. It depends on how advanced you are, what vibration you are. I can actually see it, and I can see people's DNA. When I walk by them, I can see like the DNA spirals. The thing is that you can imagine it in front of you like a ladder spinning, and then try to feel it out. And if you feel that there's anything wrong with it, people who have health issues, sometimes I see their DNA is messed up somewhat. There's different parts that are like cracked or broken or stuff like that. It's very, very interesting. The DNA is tied with what I call it's your symphony. It's your literally symphony, and it's a bit like music, a music note in a way. You can just what you do is you want to close your eyes and you want to literally imagine I imagine sunlight coming over it and clearing it out. And then what I also do is I imagine water just pouring over it and cleaning it. And if I sense any cracks or see any cracks, I will fill them in. And if it's not spinning as fast as I think, because it's so funny, because so many people's DNA I see out there are spinning very fast. So their level of perception is very low. So that I spin mine very faster to get to keep my level of perception up. And what you want to do is just go ahead and spin it faster. When you do this, you should get tingling all over your body. You should get some warm sensations. If you're looking to heal from anything, I would recommend doing this maybe even 2 times a day when you wake up in the morning, even 3 times a day. If you're doing major DNA healing, you also want to, of course, do superfoods and everything on the side, and then you want to clear your aura. And what I'm doing is I'm saying the exercises right now that are like amateur exercises because you need to get, there's levels and stages of clearing, and this is probably the easiest one to do, that for people to do. Then what I do is I bring in lots of colors and just spin it. I bring in like a rainbow of colors and spin it with the DNA. And then what I do is I try to go ahead and finish it off with making sure that it's spinning very fast and that it is totally healed. If you have negative entities that are attached to you, it does affect your symphony, your DNA. So by doing this, you can detach negative energies. It's one of the way to detach negative energies that works really, really well. Then what I do is I simply, after you spin the DNA, I just pull it back quite into me. Yes, just pull it into you like that. That works very, very well for clearing DNA. I have many more exercises that I use to do this, and I will explain more about that in the future. I did also want to talk about deja vu, and I've been having that for the last 4 to 5 days, and it won't stop. I encountered what you call a watcher, or have you seen the Adjustment Bureau? Well, some years back, just when it's funny because when I I do different stuff. I'm always testing stuff and doing stuff. Some years back, when I was living in Dallas, I was being followed around everywhere by the guys with the top hats and stuff like that. I actually had got pictures of them. It was insane what was going on, and I call them the watchers, the observers. They're very, very strange. Sometimes they look plasticky. I guess some people call them men in black or whatever. I go to this small grocery stand that's always in the sun because I like getting my food, that's charged with sun. and it's local, and I was going, and I was wearing a pair of handmade Indian earrings with feathers, and I passed this man sitting on the bench, and I could see him afar off. He was probably like 60, but his skin looked rather plasticky, and he had a cane, and he was in a suit, and he had a top hat. And I thought I recognized him, and he had a grin on his face, and I thought, he's going to come over and try to speak to me, but he didn't, and I passed him, so I went and got my groceries, then I came back, and then suddenly I felt one of my earrings drop off, and it dropped onto the ground. I was looking around for it, and suddenly he was there. And he says, I didn't see it drop. He says, I don't think you dropped your earring. It's not around here. And I knew my earring was dropped around there. And I realized that he was sent because of the fact that I had done a heart exercise, a heart meditation. I got helicopters that flew over. Oh, it's about what I call emotional monitoring. So they monitor emotions. I'm very highly monitored on my emotions because I do stuff. So they've tried to at once to try to bring me down in emotions, but I know how to stay out of that, like, dump of emotions, because I have good emotions all the time. So I had done something the day before that prompted that to manifest, and they always try to take something of yours. And I knew, it's funny because once I got home, I sat on the couch, and then suddenly I could remote view him pick up my earring and walk off, and walk off into another dimension. So I do know that he was an observer, a watcher. I'm still trying to figure out what they want and what they are. I've interacted with them quite a few times throughout my life. It was very interesting because I interacted with them, and then somebody sent me the movie The Adjustment Bureau, and I thought that was quite interesting because it's all about them, and that's exactly how they look. Even though he was 60, he looked perfectly plasticky. It was quite interesting, and yes, I encountered a watcher or an observer, or what you want, a man in black, if you want to call them.
So he's got one earring and you got the other one. So
Yeah.
Is that a connection?
Yes, it's able to connect directly to me. They always seem to do. They always seem to try to get objects or something like that. That's why I'm very, very protective about who I let in my home, or people. I've had people who've stole strange stuff from me, like things from me, like clothing or stuff like that. And then it's because you have to realize it's charged with your energy. They can then access you. So that was already planned, that they wanted to get my earring when it dropped. I'm pretty sure that he may have done that, been able to literally make the earring drop off right in front of him so he could go pick it up. The fact that he waited nearly 2 hours for me to come back from groceries and still stay there is not normal. That is not normal. When I was in Dallas, I was shopping at this organic store, and I was with my little friend, and we were shopping, and then he was like, look, and I noticed there were black cars outside, but they were very strange. They're always those, I think, is it Queen Victoria? Some sort of car in the United States. It's very, maybe it's Victoria, Queen Victoria, some sort of car in the United States. It's very strange looking. They always seem to use them, or they seem to use like Lexus cars. And I was in the grocery store shopping, and I saw them. They were following us, and they came in the grocery store, and I saw the manager. We were in an organic store. He was freaking out, and they literally walked into the camera room. And then my friend was like, let's go outside, let's go out of here. And I went to the car, and I took a picture, and hopefully one of these days I can find this picture. There was such strange computer tech in the cars, like literally to the dashboard and everything, like bolted onto the dashboard, different computer tech and stuff like that. I don't know what, I guess they use that maybe for tracking or stuff like that. I can't encounter them. And then when I was going to my gym, suddenly they changed the people in my gym, and suddenly they were standing literally out there, and I walked out, and there were just 2 of their cars on each side of my car, and I said, you guys follow me around so much, I should bring you coffee and cookies sometime. But it's funny because there's no human sort of response, and it's like they're plasticky, and even
No emotion.
no emotions whatsoever. It's no emotion. So it's funny because when I was in that grocery store, I was like, there's something really strange. They look too plasticky. So I threw up this force field through my mind. I could do it force field. And the one came walking around the aisle like that, and he hit it like he hit an invisible wall. He hit it like that. That's how extremely strange that was. But I was followed by them for quite a while. It's funny because I had to go do an emergency meeting, and I had to drive from Dallas to a smaller city, and I was speeding through towns that said like 20-30 miles an hour because there was one in the car back of me. And I sped through this one town, and I did it on purposely through this one town because he was following me. He wouldn't stop following me, and obviously he had the top hat on. He's in this black car. He's following me. And I was like, okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. So I was talking to my friend because my friend was with me, and I was like, I'm going to speed through the town a bit. So I'm like going 60 through like a 30-mile-an-hour town, and there were cops there. So I see the cops. They come out from the gas station because they see me. They come after me. Then I see him literally like on his CV. Then the cops just stopped. They didn't even follow me after that. So it's like, I'm like, okay, this is really strange. The cops should have like stopped me, pulled me over, and gave me a ticket. They're after me with their sirens on. He gets on the CV. Then it's like, so yeah, so they are interconnected with the police force in the United States. And there's all this stuff going on, but it was insanity. He followed me literally throughout my whole trip, which was like all across Texas.
Amazing. So why did he wear a top hat since it might have fitted in the 1950s maybe, but not now? So it's like they haven't changed.
When I went to Glastonbury, when I went to Brighton, because I went to that spot in Brighton, and we were eating, me and Max's mother were eating, and there was one right outside. He looked like he came out of like the 1900s, and he had a top hat. He had a cape. He was dressed in black, and he had a suitcase, and it was chained to his hand. We passed by like 3 times, and we just looked it up. And if you ever seen the James Bond movie Solitary, I think there's the guy with the top hat in there or something like that. And if you see Princess and the Frog, there's also the guy with the top hat in there. So there's the whole top hat guys that are showing up, and then you've got, of course, the Adjustment Bureau, and of course in magic, what do? They pull off the top hat, go down the rabbit hole, and they pull the rabbit out of the hat. So there's some really strange things that are happening there. That's how insane that my life is. I don't think I'd rather it any other way. I think normal people's lives must be just absolutely boring. Yes. So yeah, the deja vu, I think, is connected with that happening to me and him taking that earring from me. I get deja vu a lot, and then suddenly timelines change. That's what happens with me. It's tied into timelines changing for me. It's almost like warning me that the timeline's going to change. That you've already done this, and then the timeline's going to change. So that's it.
So why have you kept this other earring for?
Why have I
kept it? You could throw it away or get rid of it.
What do you mean?
Well, if they've got one earring, you still kept this other earring, have you?
No, I didn't keep that earring.
You didn't keep it? Okay.
No.
So you did get rid of it.
What I do usually is I just put my hand over, take out my energy, and throw it away.
Oh.
Or give it to somebody else, because I always tend to. It's funny because I'm targeted by witches so much. They always try to give you gifts, and so I take the gift to give it to somebody else. See, because it can't hurt the other person, because they're not after the other person. So I gave them a gift, so it's good karma. So do you see? It's like tricking the witch, because the witch is like, oh, here's a gift, and I'm like, thank you, give it to the other person, and the good karma from that is very protective, and they can't achieve what they're supposed to. But I get targeted by quite quite a lot of dark witches. That's one of my huge issues that I've had every age apparently. But okay, so I did want to talk about portals. How you enter portals. Somebody.
Elizabeth, I know, had one. She was walking in London, went for a fountain, she said, and ended up in airport in DC, Washington, or something. She didn't say how she got back though. Whether she flew back or came back through the portal. That was one of the questions I know. So that's interesting.
I'm gonna go ahead and start the questions in a second. But wow, I used to. Here, I've got my chakra stones right here because I was saying last time how you can use the chakra stones on your body to do the whole thing. But I was using last time. Well, when I was in France, I got this black stone, and I was using it to access a portal through the stone. It depends what. I mean, I've been able to access portals through books, through different objects. I'm able to see if they're charged on another level, then access the portal through them. Somebody once gave me a genie lamp, and I accessed the portal to where the jinn were, and was able to speak to the jinn prince. So, when I was at the conference, the bowl. Do you remember the bowl? It's a copper bowl. It's a singing bowl.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Tibetan type of.
And then so I was given that, and that same night, I dreamed that the person who gave it to me was like a Pleiadian he was a Pleiadian from another dimension, and it was a gift from another charge from another dimension. So yeah, I definitely have beautiful beings that come and give me gifts like that too. But as for portals, there's so many mini portals. When I was in Texas, there was a I guess what you would call a Freemasonic temple, and I decided that I wanted to access the portal there, and I decided to go do it, and it's definitely quite guarded. When I was doing that, I was followed by many cars that had Freemasonic plates, literally just stamped that they were Freemasonic, or stickers like that, black SUVs. I decided to access that because I thought that they were using the angel Azazel. So I went ahead and decided I'm going to access this portal and shut it down. I'm going to see what's in there, what they're doing, and shut it down. I believe with the Freemasons, like I stated before, that there are good and bad in the Freemasons. I believe that some of the high guys are good and some of the high guys are bad. And there's a good part that want to see all of this come to a positive outcome, and there's a good part that want to see it come to a negative outcome because they like living in the world and they like the power that they have. This specific Freemason temple, I wanted to access because I thought that they were using, of course, a high angel. So it's very interesting because I was able to access it. I drove in front of it, I walked around it, and then suddenly it started raining so bad that there were literally, the rain was up to, it just massively flooded. We had flash floods during that time. The rain was over my shoes. That's how bad it started raining so bad. So my shoes were soaked. It was up to my ankles in some places. And then I thought, okay, I've broken the seal to enter the portal. That's done. So I get back home, and suddenly I'm sitting playing chess with Azazel, and there's all these. Azazel's definitely a fallen being, and there's all these entities in back of him, and there's all these rings, and it's very interesting. There was a series of rings, and I'm playing chess with Azazel, and initially I won at chess with him. When I won at chess, he transformed into this large beast-like creature, and as I did some sort of there were all these entities. As I won the chess, these rings fell down into my hands, and rings fell down like rings and rings and rings and rings and rings, and then some into my hands. rings were falling everywhere. So I'm guessing that because I do lots of work on other levels, I'm guessing that that's the chakra. The rings were representative of chakra, and that he's one of the ones who helps to hold, because all your memories, everything, and you being enlightened, all has to do with the chakras and with the chakras and the rings. Of course, it's like they always use rings for some reason to represent them. So I believe that certain different fallen beings hold certain chakras, captive, so you can't access them for the mass public. So I believe that it's funny because I believe that that's what it was. It was a release of chakras after I won him a chest. Then he turned into a very large beast-like being, and then sort of lightning struck him. And then when the lightning struck him, it's like he burned very badly into dust. So that's a portal I entered, and that was when I was being very like how do you put it? When I was going to war, I was like, I'm going to go battle. I'm gonna go do this. But yes, that was one of the big portals that I entered. When I traveled the United States, I noticed it was built Freemasonically, that there were portals in different places, so you could go from one to another to do different vibrations, almost like a spiral up or down, depending on. The whole United States is built like that, by the way. As for portals, you can find them in trees, you can find them in plants. Some animals will come to you. I've had animals come to me that were able to help me, bring me into other vibrations. They were also portals. Sometimes people are portals. It depends. Objects are portals. It's about seeing, being able to train yourself to see if something is charged in another dimension, and once it's charged in another, if you see that charged in another dimension, then you can understand why. And most of the times that you can access portals through that. So that is my whole observation and my whole thing about portals. So I think I've got that one over with.
Yeah, I've been told I'm a portal, as in being a portal. This woman was doing mediumship, and she was giving everyone a reading. She comes to me and she said, I can't give you a reading yet. Then she told me afterwards, she said all the spirit was coming through me.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. So I guess, does that mean I'm a portal?
Yes.
So,
yes, it does. Some people are portals, that's the thing. And yes, that's it.
Is that good or bad?
I mean, there's portals for the good side and portals for the bad side. I mean, the high priestesses, like you see in Hollywood, some of the high celebrities are high priestesses for the portals, for the negative side, like Miley Cyrus, Madonna. They're portals for the negative side. When they sing, when they perform, they're there, and they're letting all of these negative entities stream out of them and into the people who, quote, worship or adore them or see them as a god in a way. It's false god worship. And so then these people are becoming possessed by just simply being in there, because you imagine they're doing a ceremony. They're in the portal, they're doing a ceremony, and all of this, the entities are coming out of them into the people who don't even know what's going on. Plus with the sound is, most of the time I notice the sounds are done to break any sort of shields people have. So it's like there's no shields, and they're worshiping somebody they're not, they shouldn't be, and so they're open to becoming possessed by the entities. As for us, who are of higher vibration, we can stream out higher energies to people. And you can stream out, sometimes I can stream out different things. So it's just about, depends on the person, whether they're good or bad. You're a portal for good or you're a portal for evil, that's pretty much it. Typically, you're a good portal.